If you're over 70 and still doing these 5 things, you might be quietly stacking the odds in your favor to live well past 100. Now, I know that might sound bold, maybe even a little far-fetched, but the truth is, longevity is less about luck than most people think. It's not just about avoiding illness or having good genes. It's about daily choices, small habits, and the mindset you carry with you each morning when you open your eyes. And if you're here watching this, chances are you care not just about living longer, but about living better, being sharp, active, and deeply connected to life right until the very end. Before we dive in, I want to encourage you to stay with me all the way through this conversation because these 5 things are not obvious. In fact, you might be doing some of them without realizing how much they're helping you. And by the end, you'll have a clear picture of whether you're already on track or what small shifts could make a huge difference. And if this resonates with you, maybe share it with a friend or loved one. Sometimes the best gift we can give is a little piece of wisdom that inspires someone else to take better care of themselves. Now, I want you to picture something. Imagine yourself at 95, not just alive, but strong enough to walk up a flight of stairs without feeling winded, clear-minded enough to recall the name of your first school teacher, and surrounded by people you love. Imagine being able to laugh until your stomach hurts, to cook a meal from scratch, to tend to a garden, or to play with your great-grandchildren without feeling like you're watching life from the sidelines. That's the kind of vitality we're talking about, not merely counting years, but making those years count. Over the years, I've spoken with many people in their 90s, and even a few who crossed that 100-year mark, and I've noticed something remarkable. Yes, they often had different life stories, different diets, and different upbringings. But when you listen closely, you realize they share certain attitudes and routines that quietly shape their days. Some of these habits come from lessons they learned the hard way. Others are simply the result of paying attention to what their bodies and minds truly need. And while science supports many of these practices, they also come down to something more human, things you can feel in your bones, even without reading a single research paper. So, the first sign you're on track to live past 100 is that you keep moving every single day. And I'm not just talking about exercise in the traditional sense. Yes, walking, stretching, swimming, or doing light strength training is wonderful. But movement is more than a scheduled workout. It's about weaving activity into the fabric of your daily life. Maybe it's tending the garden, climbing stairs, instead of taking the elevator, dancing in the kitchen while making dinner, or walking to the store instead of driving. I met a woman named Irene who lived to 102, and she told me she never once had a gym membership. Instead, she walked everywhere, carried her own groceries well into her 80s, and did all her own housework. Her motto was, "If you can move, move." She said sitting too long was like telling your body you're done with it. And she was right. When you stop using your muscles, your body takes the hint. Here's the thing, our bodies are built for movement, and movement is a message to every cell that we're still in the game. Studies from places like the blue zones, those rare regions of the world where people live unusually long, healthy lives, show that consistent, low-intensity movement throughout the day is far more effective for longevity than occasional bursts of intense exercise. It's about staying in motion, not exhausting yourself. So if you're over 70 and still moving daily, even in small ways, you're already doing one of the most powerful things for your future self. Now, let's talk about the second thing, and this one might surprise you. It's staying socially connected. At this stage of life, it can be easy to drift into isolation. Friends move away or pass on, family members get busy with their own lives, and sometimes health challenges make getting out harder. But here's the truth. Loneliness is as dangerous to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's not just my opinion, that's from decades of research in social science and public health. Your heart, your immune system, and even your memories suffer when you spend too much time alone. I remember visiting an old neighbor of mine, George, who lived to be 99. He lost his wife when he was in his early 80s, and for a while he was deeply withdrawn. Then one day, a younger neighbor invited him to join a small coffee group that met every Tuesday at a local diner. At first, he didn't want to go. He thought he'd be out of place. But once he started, he never missed a Tuesday for the next 15 years. He used to say those breakfasts kept him alive. You need reasons to wake up in the morning, he told me. People are those reasons. Social connection doesn't have to mean a huge circle of friends or endless events. Even one or two deep, meaningful relationships can provide the emotional nourishment you need. Whether it's chatting with a neighbor over the fence, calling your sister, joining a book club, volunteering, or even striking up small conversations with strangers, it all counts. If you're still making the effort to connect, to listen, and to share, you're keeping one of the most vital parts of yourself alive. I know some of you might be thinking, but I'm not very social, or I don't have many friends left. That's okay. Connection doesn't have to be noisy or exhausting. It's about genuine human warmth, even in small doses. The fact that you still reach out, still care to engage, is a quiet but powerful signal that you're choosing life over retreat. And that brings me to something equally important, though. It's less talked about the third sign you're on the path to 100. You still have curiosity. You still want to learn. This might sound small, but it's not. The brain is like a muscle, it thrives on challenge. People who live long, sharp lives are often the ones who never stop asking questions, never stop wondering how things work, never stop trying something new. One of my favorite examples is a man named Samuel, who picked up painting at age 78. He had never so much as sketched a picture before. But one day he walked into an art supply store, bought a set of paints, and decided to see what would happen. By the time he turned 90, his home was full of his own landscapes and portraits, and he was selling them at local fairs. But here's the thing, he didn't do it for money or praise. He did it because it lit him up inside. I feel alive when I'm learning, he told me. That spark, that willingness to be a beginner again, is a secret ingredient to longevity. Curiosity doesn't always mean starting a brand new hobby. It might mean reading books on a topic you've never explored, learning a new recipe, trying your hand at a puzzle, or even asking your grandkids to show you how some new piece of technology works. It's about keeping your mind in forward motion. Research from Harvard's study of adult development, a study that's been tracking people for over 80 years, shows that mental engagement keeps cognitive decline at bay and helps maintain a sense of purpose. So if you're still waking up with a sense of, what will I discover today? Even in small ways, you're feeding one of the deepest parts of your longevity engine. And speaking of purpose, that's where I want to pause for a moment. Because purpose ties all of these habits together. The people who live the longest are rarely just passing time. They feel needed. They have something or someone to care about. They contribute to the lives of others, whether that's through family, community, or creative expression. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It can be as simple as tending to a pet, looking after a garden, or making your famous soup for the people you love. The point is, you still feel your life matters. I'm going to share the next two signs in just a moment, but I want you to take a second right now and think, are you already doing some of these things? Movement, connection, curiosity, purpose, these are not small. These are the foundations. And if you're nodding along, you may already be doing more for your future than you realize. The fourth sign you're on track to live past 100 is that you still take care of your body, like it's worth something, which it is. I don't just mean going to the doctor when you feel sick. I mean being intentional about what you put into your body, how you rest, and how you respond when it whispers or sometimes shouts for attention. The people who reach extreme old age often treat their bodies like partners in life rather than machines they can run into the ground. I knew a man named Walter who lived to 101. Every morning he would start his day with what he called listening time. He'd stretch a little, drink some water, and take a moment to notice how he felt. Was his breathing easy? Did he feel stiff anywhere? Was he unusually tired? This daily check-in meant he caught problems early and adjusted his habits before small issues became big ones. It sounds simple, but it's powerful. Ignoring your body's messages is like ignoring a check engine light. You might keep driving for a while, but eventually something gives out. And nutrition matters too, but I want to be clear here. Longevity diets aren't about chasing every new trend or cutting out entire food groups unless you medically need to. They're about balance, whole foods, and moderation. Many centenarians eat diets rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans, nuts, and lean proteins. But they also allow themselves small pleasures, homemade bread, a piece of dark chocolate, a glass of wine, without guilt. It's about making the healthy choice most of the time and enjoying treats as part of life, not the center of it. Sleep is another piece of this puzzle. I can't tell you how many people underestimate the role of rest in longevity. When you're over 70, good sleep isn't just about feeling refreshed. It's about protecting your brain, keeping your immune system strong, and balancing your mood. If you're still making sleep a priority, setting a routine, and creating a restful environment, you're giving your body the deep repair it needs to keep going for decades. And then there's the fifth sign. And this one is less about the physical and more about the spirit. If you're over 70 and you can still find joy, real, unforced joy, you're already ahead of the game. I don't mean pretending everything's perfect or ignoring the hardships that come with aging. I mean you still allow yourself to laugh, to savor beauty, to feel grateful for small moments. There's a woman I once interviewed, Evelyn, who was 98 at the time. She had lost her husband, 3 of her siblings, and many friends over the years. She had arthritis and couldn't walk as far as she used to. But every morning, she'd sit by her window with a cup of tea and watch the sun come up. She said, "It reminded her, I've been given one more day, and that's a gift." That kind of perspective, the ability to see something worth appreciating even in tough times, feeds resilience. And resilience, more than almost anything else, is what gets people through to the other side of life's challenges. If you still smile when you see children playing, if you still get excited about your favorite meal, if you still enjoy music or the sound of rain, those moments matter more than most people realize. Joy is medicine. It lowers stress hormones, boosts immunity, and gives your heart and mind a reason to keep going. When you put these 5 things together: daily movement, social connection, curiosity, caring for your body, and finding joy, you create a life that naturally leans toward longevity. Not because you're chasing years, but because you're living in a way that supports them. The beautiful truth is, you don't have to be perfect at any of these. Even small, steady efforts can change your trajectory. And if you're over 70, and already doing some of them, you're not just surviving, you're building a future you can actually look forward to. Here's something I've noticed over years of speaking with older adults who've managed to stay vibrant well into their later years. They tend to weave these 5 habits into their lives in a way that feels natural, not forced. They're not obsessing over them. They're not ticking boxes every day, thinking, okay, that's my movement, that's my connection. Instead, these habits have become part of who they are. That's an important distinction, because when something feels like a chore, we tend to resist it. But when it feels like a part of our identity, I'm the kind of person who takes a walk after dinner, or I'm the kind of person who checks in with friends every week, it becomes second nature. It's no longer something you have to remember to do. It's just you living your life. Take movement, for example. We often imagine it has to be formal exercise weights, treadmills, yoga classes. And while those can be great, they're not essential. Some of the healthiest elders I've met have never once set foot in a gym. They've simply built movement into their everyday routines. I once met a man named Frank who lived on the second floor of an old house. He was in his mid-80s, and instead of moving to a ground floor apartment to make life easier, he chose to stay put because those stairs gave him a daily workout. I figure those steps are my free gym membership, he told me, laughing. And it worked. His legs were strong, his balance was good, and he was more mobile than some people 20 years younger. Then there's social connection. It's not just about having someone to talk to, it's about feeling seen, valued, and loved. When you know there's at least one person who cares if you show up or not, you have an anchor in this world. And that anchor doesn't just hold you emotionally, it literally keeps you healthier. Studies have shown that people with strong social ties recover faster from illness, handle stress better, and even have lower rates of dementia. So when you make time to have coffee with a neighbor or chat on the phone with an old friend, it's not just being friendly, it's investing in your future well-being. Curiosity plays a similar role in keeping your mind alive. It's one of the easiest things to let go of as we get older, especially if we feel like we've seen it all. But the truth is, no one has seen it all. There are always new books, new skills, new conversations, and new ideas to explore. I think of a woman named Margaret who decided at 82 that she wanted to learn how to use a tablet so she could read books from her local library's digital collection. At first, it was frustrating. Technology wasn't something she'd grown up with, but she kept at it. Not only did she master it, she ended up joining an online book club and making friends in 3 different countries. That one spark of curiosity opened up a whole new chapter in her life. Taking care of your body is another habit that's best approached with kindness rather than pressure. Sometimes when people hear advice about diet or exercise, they start to think in all or nothing terms. If I can't do it perfectly, why bother? But the people who live the longest tend to take a gentler approach. They listen to their bodies, adjust when needed, and focus on consistency over perfection. They also know when to let themselves rest. That balance between action and recovery is what keeps the body resilient over time. And then there's joy. We can't underestimate how essential joy is. It's not frivolous. It's not something extra you get to have if all your chores are done. Joy is fuel. I once asked a 96-year-old man what his secret to a long life was. He smiled and said, "I don't go a single day without doing something that makes me happy." For him, that meant playing his harmonica in the evening. For someone else, it might be baking, listening to music, tending flowers, or spending time with a grandchild. It's whatever reminds you that life still has sweetness in it, now. Maybe you're listening to this and thinking, that all sounds wonderful, but I'm not doing all 5 of these things consistently. That's okay. Longevity isn't about perfection, it's about direction. Even adding one of these habits to your life right now can start to shift the way your body and mind age. Let me give you a practical example. If you've been feeling isolated, you could start small. Call one friend this week. Or if you've been sitting too much, decide to stand up and walk around the house every hour. Tiny steps create momentum, and momentum creates change. Before you know it, you're building patterns that support you without feeling like hard work. Another thing I've seen in people who live long, healthy lives is that they don't let setbacks stop them completely. They might have a health scare, lose a loved one, or face a difficult season, but they find their way back to these core habits. They know these habits aren't just for when life is easy. They're especially important when life is hard, and there's something else worth mentioning. The people who make it past 100 with their health and joy intact are often the ones who know how to adapt. They don't cling to how it used to be so tightly that they can't enjoy what is. If they can't run anymore, they walk. If they can't cook a big meal, they make something simple. If they can't travel far, they explore what's close by. They keep adjusting, but they keep living in a moment. I want to bring this all together in a way that's both motivating and comforting, because while we can't control everything about aging, we can absolutely influence how we experience it. And the good news is, no matter where you are right now, it's never too late to start. When we talk about living past 100, it's easy to get caught up in the idea that it's some rare miracle something that happens only to people with extraordinary luck or perfect health. But when you look closely at the lives of those who actually reach that milestone, you see a different picture. Yes, genetics play a role, but lifestyle, the way you choose to live day after day, has a much larger influence than most people realize. What's even more encouraging is that these 5 habits we've been talking about: daily movement, social connection, curiosity, caring for your body, and finding joy, aren't extreme. They don't require huge amounts of money, special equipment, or living in a certain part of the world. They're available to you right where you are, starting today. Think about it. Movement can be as simple as walking to the mailbox, watering plants, or standing up during a TV commercial. Connection can be a phone call to an old friend or saying hello to the cashier at the store. Curiosity might mean reading about something you've never explored before or trying a recipe from a different culture. Caring for your body could start with drinking a little more water, swapping a sugary snack for a piece of fruit, or making an extra effort to get a good night's sleep. And joy? Joy can be as small and powerful as listening to a song you love or sitting outside to feel the breeze on your face. The secret is in doing these things regularly, in weaving them into the rhythm of your life until they feel natural. When that happens, you're not working on your longevity. You're simply living in a way that supports it. There's a wonderful quote from Dan Buettner, who studied the blue zones, that goes something like this: "The world's longest lived people don't try to add years to their life. They try to add life to their years, and the years follow." I love that, because it flips the whole conversation on its head. Instead of worrying about the number at the end, focus on filling each day with the kinds of habits and moments that make you feel alive right now. That's what creates a life worth living, and as it turns out, it's also what tends to make that life longer. I also want to acknowledge something important. Aging isn't always easy. Your body changes, your energy shifts, and you may face challenges, physical, emotional, or both, that you never expected. Some days it can feel like everything is harder than it used to be. And that's why these 5 habits matter even more. They're not just about adding years. They're about giving you the tools to navigate those harder days with resilience, dignity, and hope. One of the most inspiring people I've met was a man named Howard. He was 104 when I spoke with him, and when I asked what kept him going, he said something I'll never forget. "Every day, I wake up and try to do 3 things: move my body, use my mind, and share something kind with someone else. I figure if I can do that, the day's been a success." He didn't mention supplements or perfect diets or expensive treatments, just the simple, human things we can all do. That's the heart of this message. You don't have to chase perfection. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. You just have to keep showing up for yourself in small ways over and over again. Those small ways compound. They become the fabric of your days, and over time, they shape your health, your happiness, and yes, your lifespan. So, if you're over 70 and you're still doing these 5 things, take a moment right now to appreciate yourself. You're already on the path. And if you're not doing all of them yet, Don't feel discouraged, see it as an invitation. Pick one habit to nurture this week. Then, when that one feels comfortable, add another. Before you know it, you'll have built a foundation that can carry you well beyond what you thought possible. Remember, longevity isn't about chasing the future. It's about honoring the present in a way that makes the future brighter. And whether you live to be 80, 90, or 110, the real gift is waking up each morning knowing you're living fully, intentionally, and with a heart that's still open to what's ahead. So, as you go through your day today, ask yourself, did I move? Did I connect? Did I learn? Did I care for my body? Did I find joy? If the answer is yes to even one of those, you're already winning. And if you can string enough of those days together, you might just find yourself celebrating that 100th birthday and doing it with a smile. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 5 things do you already do? Which one will you focus on next? Share your thoughts, because your story might just inspire someone else to start their own journey toward a longer, richer life. And if you found this helpful, consider passing it along to a friend or family member. You never know how much of a difference it could make in someone's life. Here's to more years, more health, and more joy, because you're worth every single one of them.